Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Film Frauds. That was Murphy. Or myself, Matt, my two co-hosts, Mark.
Hello.
And Tyler.
Hello.
Provide our completely unprofessional, 100% biased opinions on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. When you hit record, my mom came in, and then Murphy jumps and it's like, dude, let him go. But today, we're back with Mark's recommendations. And Mark, what is your recommendation for today?
My recommendation is Carol Reed's 1949 film, The Third Man. Whoa. For those who haven't seen it, the plot is about an American Western writer, and he's been invited to Vienna by his friend Harry Lime for a job. And so Holly Martin's, when he steps into Vienna, he realizes that his friend is nowhere to be found, and actually that he's dead. So things get weird from there. Yeah, very mysterious. Ooh, what happened to Harry Lime? And so things happen, and they're very spooky. And you have to put the puzzle pieces together.
Harry Lime.
Boo.
Whatever.
Boo.
Yeah. Okay.
Boo.
Okay.
We're losing everyone.
So this is my second time watching this film. I watched it for the first time earlier this year, and I watched because it was on Roger Ebert's greatest movies list. And so I've become stronger in some of my opinions of this film, and some things have been weakened for me. And I'm very interested to talk about it with you guys. I think some of the things I love, you guys don't like, and some of the things that you guys may love, I don't like. So, Matt, this is your first time watching. What did you think of The Third Man?
So I'm sort of the notorious one for being like the least. I like older movies the least, I think, out of all of us. Maybe. But I actually really liked The Third Man. I don't think it's like a masterpiece or like one of the top movies of all time, like Roger Ebert does. But I really was. My appreciation for the movie definitely grew as it was going on. Like at the beginning, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is okay." But then, as the second act and third act progressed, like by the end, I was super, super into the plot and the characters. I really like. One second. Joseph Cotten, the actor, as the lead, and I like Alida Valli as his love interest sort of.
Yep.
I thought they had really good chemistry. And I found the plot to be more engaging as it was going on. And then some of the subject matter too, I thought was like pretty daring for like its time period. We can go more into that later. But the one thing that really held this movie back, like this movie could have potentially been like an A movie for me. Just the score constantly, not constantly, but during action or intense scenes really sucked me out. I think in my review on Letterboxd said it just sounded like a theme from SpongeBob at times.
Yeah.
But like it worked for scenes between like the lead and Valley. Like I like the music there, and like in kind of like when they're bars and stuff, like hanging out, it worked. But it did not work during chase scenes for me. And during like one really tense scene later on in the movie, just completely deflated it for me. And the scene that should have been great. But overall, like it's up there with Citizen Kane as in like movies that from like an editing and like directing and plot standpoint are, sort of timeless in a way.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a few different avenues in which we can kind of like critique this movie from or explore it. And I think the best way to look at it is I read Roger Ebert's review before, and I have a quote from here. And I think he puts it in better words, like why this movie works and doesn't work for me in some capacity. And the quote is, "Of all the movies I have seen, this one most completely embodies the romance of going to the movies. I saw it first on a rainy day in a tiny smoke-filled cinema on the left bank in Paris. It told a story of existential loss and betrayal. It was weary and knowing, and its glorious style was an act of defiance against the corrupt world it pictured. Seeing it, I realized how many Hollywood movies were like the pulp westerns that Holly Martins wrote, naive formulas supplying happy endings for passive consumption." I feel like that branches into two kind of definite aspects of, one, why this movie is so greatly appreciated, and two, why it's tough to appreciate this movie for people our age growing up in a time where we have all these kind of like unique explorations of movies.
Yeah.
Third Man is incredible because it broke conventional filmmaking, storytelling, everything at the time in 1949. We're watching it in 2020. I'm seeing it for the first time then. So is Matt. Mark, you watched it for the first time in 2020. And while this movie can be like lauded and praised for its definitely like unique aspects for the time, it definitely isn't as unique as I think I would have felt if I watched it when it came out in 1949 and how it kind of broke conventional stereotypes. That being said, it's still like a really great movie. I'm kind of similar to Matt, where it's baffling. Roger Ebert in the first line of his review talks about the fact that has a movie score ever so perfectly fitted a movie, and I can't really disagree with that more. I was really baffled by how much the score took me actually out of this movie, and it is ultimately like a very small aspect of it, but it really like tonally changes a lot of the atmosphere of an otherwise like really tense and well shot and well directed movie. When you hear that do 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 like that SpongeBob theme, like Matt said, yeah, it just sounds like that the entire time, and it's great. And when there's like legitimate moments of like tension, and you're sitting there and you're like, this is really modern, and you're like, I really feel this, and it's do 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 do. And he's like, "Hey, what's that?" And you're just like, "What is this?"
It feels like SpongeBob Patrick could have conceivably run across the screen at any moment.
Just like, okay,
during those scenes.
It's like this is like baffling.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, we got to talk about more like the unique like filmmaking of this later. But Mark, what do you think about this?
So, my prediction came true, where I thought that the things that I would like, or what I loved, Matt wouldn't like, or both of you guys wouldn't like, and what you guys liked, I didn't like.
We're matching again. Matt.
So on the topic of the score, the first time I watched it, the movie starts out and it's literally like, it's not a guitar. I don't know what that instrument is that plays ukulele or something. But that's the first thing you see when the movie starts is the music. You literally see the music being made. When I first watched it, I was like, this is weird, because this is a film. I mean, if you think about it on paper, it's a film set in Second World War Vienna, like literally in the rubble of Vienna.
Yeah.
It's about sort of like human corruption, and the theme is basically the SpongeBob SquarePants theme. It's like, who made this decision? Like, is Carol Reed smoking or something? What's going on? But for me, it works, and I can't explain why. I love the score of this film, and I think it really works. And I don't have a good counter argument to what you guys say, because I just think it's a matter of taste. Yeah. I don't know how to argue against it. So I love it. I love the score.
It did work for me in certain regards. Like I said, I loved the background, like kind of like flamenco music with any scene between Cotton and Valley. I thought really worked for me. But it's just specifically intense scenes. Like I really like jazz music. I like listening to like ambient jazz music playlists on YouTube and stuff. And I'm just like watching this. I'm like, man, like if I could just put one of those playlists over this movie, it would just be like perfect. So you just watch Cold War 2, which is very similar to this movie. Not so much in plot, but like in tone. It's both movies are about like the effects of the Cold War on like the average person. And like that movie has really great background music that fits like the kind of like the dark and sort of hopeless, historical setting. And just like it just like to go into some specifics, like because we're like in full spoilers, right?
Came out in 1949.
Yeah, like specifically like the scene where when Harry Lime is like surveying all of Vienna, and it's like it just didn't work for me. Like it needed to be like some like slow like trumpet or like jazz flute song playing,
deep bass,
and, like,
sort of
deep bass, like a little drum in the background, just like really like hammering like this setting, because the setting is so like the way Reed handles the setting in this movie, I can't like compliment enough. Like Vienna, I think this is the oldest movie I've seen where the setting really feels like it's a character in itself. And it's like I really have to compliment him there. But it's like that score just in that scene, like I'm like, I should be feeling this so much more right now, but I cannot help but laugh.
Well, it's just like, it's the point of, it's clearly trying to break conventions. Like it's very clearly trying to take the standard assumptions about film and the standard kind of like storytelling beats and flip it. That's what this movie's trying to do. You can kind of see that in like the odd Dutch angles that Reed does to like capture like people being like off kilter, which is not something that often happens in 1949. And you're right, Mark. It's just like it doesn't work for me, but it can work. I mean, clearly it works for every single other person in the world. People love this score.
Yeah. I think I just go back to what Matt said. You can just admit that you wanted the Christopher Nolan Inception theme over this film.
I want anything but SpongeBob music.
Yeah. So what I want to touch on that I feel like
that probably would have been worse, I think.
Yeah. I feel like the first act of this film is, to be quite honest, this is sound a little harsh. I think it's boring. And I think I was trying to figure out why. I was like, I love the second half of this film so much. Why is the first half not resonating with me? And I think it just has to do with Joseph Cotton. I just don't think he was.
Ooh,
I don't know. I just feel like he was so. I mean, this is not a role that demands charisma, obviously. I mean, this is a very dreary film, but just I don't know. Something with Joseph Cotton just doesn't work with me in this film. And the second Orson Welles steps in as Harry Lime, everything goes to a 10, goes to an 11 for me.
Yeah, Orson
so interesting.
Yeah.
Now you can understand. Remember when I was saying like you should probably watch like Citizen Kane before this film, just so you can understand how cool Orson Welles is.
Yeah.
Because like
Joseph Cotton is in Citizen Kane as well.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah. The sequel.
Yeah. Oh, when's the fourth man coming out?
Directed by Zack Snyder.
So I'd say like if I were to like sort of quantify it, I guess like the first act of this film for me, maybe like the first act and a half is probably like a C plus or a B minus, and then like it's like the strongest A plus when Orson Welles steps in. And you know what I love about this film is like think about it in 1949, like Orson Welles, he has star power, like complete and utter star power, and he has second billing on this film. So like they're like, oh, there's imagine you're in 1949, it's like, oh, there's a new movie out and Orson Welles is in it. You go to sit down in the theater and it takes like an hour and 20 minutes for Orson Welles to show up.
Well, you can definitely see the inspiration for that in something like even like Scream that came out in like 99, where you have like the top billed star and the most recognizable star basically killed off in the first 10 minutes. And while it's not the same thing, having the main star and basically the biggest star of the time gone for most of the movie or just not there and be like a presence is clearly a choice like felt throughout like cinema, and you can just see its inspirations like everywhere else. Mark is now fighting an invisible ghost.
James came into my room.
James.
He's left. You can't hear him. Yeah. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? Maybe this is where Gareth Edwards got inspiration. I'm thinking about Bryan Cranston and Godzilla. When he dies
like 30 minutes into the movie and he's the best part of the movie. I don't like
typhoon.
I don't know.
No.
So a lot of this movie, it's really interesting to critique because how much of this is like purposeful decisions to break like standard stereotypes or standard kind of like filmmaking conventions, because it's very much a movie set out to do that. And is the first hour of this movie purposely meant to look like or feel like the old like serialized like thrillers or action things that what is it they call them pulp westerns they talk about that Holly Martin writes about? How much of that is meant to follow the conventional storytelling beats of that guy? Like this like supposedly charismatic guy, mysterious person walks into an environment, finds the girl, starts to have a romance with the girl, and then the plot plays out. But then that's when Harry Lime comes back, is when things start to flip on their head. And then I wonder just how much of that is purposeful and how much of that is like then basic conventions of its time falling into its own traps. One thing that really stood out to me like immediately in the movie was like when Harry Holly Martins walks into Vienna, like he immediately walks under a ladder. And you're just like that.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
You're like, that just seems kind of purposeful. Like I kind of just like that one really stood out because it's framed in a way where it's like the center of the shot. And you look at it and you're like, why is that ladder there? You're like, what? And then he walks under it and you're like, okay, I kind of see like he's walking into like the underground. There's like this kind of like aspect of like superstition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think what works for me about this movie and what doesn't work is I I think I just watched this at the wrong time. And that seems like such a weird criticism. It's not a criticism of the movie, it's a criticism of me. I even put this in my Letterboxd review. I feel like if I was watching this like another month from now, because I'm in like my weird like shitty action movie phase I get in like once a year, where I'm like I just need to watch like
once a year.
once a year, like
once
all
a year
the time.
being all year, every year.
Yeah.
All year, every year, every single day.
Oh.
Damn it. No, but it's just like one of those things. Like I had a tough time like connecting to a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
I found it. Maybe it's the score plays a much bigger part in it than I realized. But just like the relationship, I didn't really buy as much, and that's also a product of its time because the way movies were made that then just relationships were much more underdeveloped. I wanted a lot more. I wanted a lot more exploration of Holly Martins as a character, because I'm kind of in agreement with you, Mark. Joseph Cotton I think is fine, but I think that Holly Martin's character is not as interesting or as charismatic or as charming as the movie thinks he is.
Yeah.
And I think that really struggles a lot when you get to the relationship with him and Harry Lime, where they're basically telling us how good of friends they are. And like you're just like, yeah, they're the best friends. They did all this kind of stuff, but we never really see it or we never really feel it. So by the time that confrontation happens and Orson Welles is like eating up everything and he's the best part of this movie, you just don't feel like a connection to it.
Yeah, I think it's like because you know, maybe it's not Joseph Cotton's performance. Maybe it's just the fact that Holly Martins he doesn't outside of the scope of Harry Lime. There's not much going on. So in the beginning part of the movie, where in scenes where he's not directly looking for Harry or doing something to find Harry, it slows down. It completely slows down because it's like I want to get to the part where you find Harry.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why the first act really suffers for me. But what I do like about the first act is you're just sort of it starts off with a funeral and you're thrown into it and you're like, where is this guy? And it's just all these like characters, just talking about Harry, and then as you're picking up stuff that something fishy is going on, Holly Martins is as well. So it has this awesome level of mystery, but I feel like it just suffers because Holly Martins is completely uninteresting outside of Harry Lime, and maybe it's Joseph Cotton's performance. I feel like that's kind of sacrilegious because Joseph Cottons is Joseph Cottons, and he's a great actor.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he fit for the role for me.
Let's look at his character. His character is an alcoholic writer. He even says at a point in the movie, I'm just a beat writer who just drinks too much. He's a writer who his novels don't have as much success as he wants, even though some people know him and some people don't, because you have that one police officer come in. He's like, aren't you Holly Martins, the writer of, and then insert like 2 stories. And that's kind of it. And then a lot of his like character is developed through his relationship with the main love interest, who I'm blanking on the character's name. And then that's kind of it. And then a lot of it's like we're told how close he is with Harry Lime, and then you meet Harry Lime, and you're just like, okay, you're like, it's Orson Welles, and Orson Welles is killing it, and you struggle to gravitate because by the end of the movie, it pits Martins against Lime. And you're supposed to root for Martins, but you don't really. You're kind of rooting for Lime at the end. But is that the point of the movie? Are we supposed to want Lime to get away because it's Orson Welles?
No, because he let those kids die.
But you still kind of root for him a little bit. Like, you want him to get away. I
didn't want it. I want him to get caught.
You did?
I like Joseph Cotton. I liked his character.
Interesting.
Because he's a writer?
Because he's a writer.
Yeah. I mean, it has something to do with it. I think that, like, so, I mean, we watched Lady Vengeance last week, and like I said, like finishing that movie was such like a crazy experience for me. Like it was like first time in a while where it's like I finished the movie, it's like, wow, that movie was absolutely incredible. So kind of like, so maybe with Tyler too, because you gave 5 stars in Letterboxd. Maybe like when you have like a recent movie in your mind that was like so great that like other movies by comparison just don't like quite measure up, because I feel like but that being said, like I thought that maybe on his own, like when he's investigating, it was a little uninteresting because he's just being all these characters and you don't really know what's going on. But I liked his like chemistry with Alida Valley a bit, and I think he works well off of Orson Welles, because like he's playing it a little more straight, and then Orson Welles is playing like the more charismatic character. So I like the dichotomy there a lot, and I like their interactions, especially towards the end. Like I legitimately felt like Joseph Cotton was conflicted in the end when he has to decide whether he's going to shoot Lime or not. So like that stuff worked really well for me. Like I actually I never now that you're saying they're best friends, like I kind of forgot that element of the movie.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows that they didn't really come across very well to me.
Yeah.
And just like I kind of wish there was more Orson Welles. Like that scene in the Ferris wheel is really great, but at the same time it's a total exposition dump. Like they kind of just like spell all this stuff out for you. It's like, wait, what? And then there needed to be more stuff there. Like it didn't seem very believable to me. It didn't seem very believable to me that he'd go back to Vienna just to talk to Holly Martin again. Like that felt very unbelievable. It was just like, what? Like,
well, no, he was in Vienna. He was in Vienna.
I mean, not go back to Vienna, but I mean, like, go back to that spot where he's potentially like at risk of being. I feel like there's more risk being caught there than staying and hiding, because like you see him surveying the area as well. Like clearly he's not expecting his friend to betray him, but like he knows he's in like a more populated, more risky area of being caught.
Right.
The thing is, though, I kind of love how that Ferris wheel scene starts, because Orson Welles just kind of walks up and he's like, "Hey," and they're like, "Hey," and then they just go on
changed.
Nothing. Like it's just like they clearly had this like probably the best sequence of the movie is the reveal of Orson Welles and that subsequent chase with the shadows like looming 3 stories over the building. They're like, this is incredible. That shot of him I will get to that eventually. But I just love how he's just like, he's standing in the daylight, and then you just see Lime just walk up, and he's like, "Hey, Holly," and he's like, "Hey, Harry," and then he like shake, and then they just go on a Ferris wheel, and it's the exposition dump, and you're just kind of like, you're like, that's kind of an interesting like subversion from this big grand like epic chase right before to just like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Like completely like ignoring the events of that previous night, because it wasn't like the movie had established that Holly doesn't know who he's chasing. Holly very clearly sees Harry, and then they go and they just ignore it. And I'm like, that's kind of a neat little thing, and I was all for that. But then you're right. He has like Orson Welles is giving like an exposition dump. It's like I mean, did
like the content he was saying was interesting, but it just didn't. Like again, it's like Citizen Kane is such a show don't tell movie, and then with the Third Man, it's kind of like what was he talking about on the Ferris wheel again? It was something about
his plans.
Like there was a great line about how like during tragedy, like the best art comes from tragedy. Like the Cold War, like there's so many great artists and writers, and like they're going to come from this because what do you say? Oh, Switzerland.
I know. I have the speech memorized.
Wasn't peace for like decades, and the best thing they created was the cuckoo clock or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, for 30 years under the Borgias, we had warfare, terror, murder, bloodshed, but they produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. And then in Switzerland, they had brotherly love and 500 years of democracy and peace. And what did that produce? The cuckoo clock.
Yeah, like that.
I love that speech.
Line.
I love that speech.
Yeah, that was great. But then at the same time, how does that really apply to the rest of the movie?
Well, I think it's the Harry line trying to justify like his wrongdoings.
Yeah. That was like, Orson Welles like ad-libbing. He was like,
that was him. Yeah. No, it was.
Oh, really?
He wrote those lines.
Oh, wow, I didn't even know that.
If I remember reading that correctly. But what I loved about the Ferris wheel scene, even although it's exposition dump, the tone switches to one thing and then switches back. So like the second Orson Welles opens the door to the Ferris wheel, it's sort of like, is he threatening Holly Martin's he's like, I think he said like, do you think if you fell from here, they would look for a bullet wound? I think he said that.
No. He says if you get shot and fall, they wouldn't look for a bullet wound, basically. But it's not even like a veil. He threatens Holly. Like there's no like. He just kind of outwardly does it. And you're right. It is like a nice tonal shift. Because this movie does. I think this movie handles tonal shifts really well. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but all you have to do is look at the previous scene, where it's like kind of like creepy, where Harry's like standing in the dark. And Holly's like, "Who? I can see you." He's like, "I know someone's there," but you can't really like. You just see the cat, and you kind of see like, the pants, and you're like, "That's kind of creepy." You're like, "That's kind of like I don't like that." And then the light comes on, and you're just like, "Oh shit, it's Harry." I don't know, like something about this movie. Like, I struggle with this movie, but I also kind of really love this movie. And I think it's one of those things where it's a technical marvel of its time. There's my favorite shot in the entire movie is when Reed pans through the plants to look outside, and he goes through the plants, and then like the plants like open, and then you see that courtyard, and you see Harry Lime like walk into the shadow. And you're like, that's so creative. You're like, even now I would be like, yes, that's a great shot.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that, like the use of like Dutch angles and like these weird like framing and this weird like sometimes it feels like the lens got like even like it encompasses more area, and then some shots are like close, and it's just like this is really like creative. Maybe narratively it's just doesn't hold up to the technical aspects. That's kind of where I'm trying to get at.
I think that's a fair analysis. I think I pretty much agree with you on that fact. Because I feel like the directing completely serves the environment. Like, think about Thor. That has a lot of Dutch angles. Can you tell me for what?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Shut up. Just be quiet. Be quiet. You're
What's
going
your
against
point? Yeah, they're both on the same level. Third Man and Thor.
I'm gonna leave. But yeah, like the Dutch angles sort of give you this sort of sense of vertigo. I mean, Vienna's got those like, arching streets, and it just works. And it's like, oh my God, this is as you said, Tyler, this is a technical marvel. I mean, there's so many just impressive sequences, and the use of shadows. That's a whole other thing we'll get to. But I do feel like the story is. Again, it gets uninteresting at times, like when it's indoors and it's just Joseph Cotton as Holly Martins. It's just your interest wanes, and it's happened both times that I've watched it, and I really want to love these scenes, and I just can't bring myself to do it.
So I feel like this is also going to be a movie that I might enjoy a little bit more on a rewatch, because I feel like there's just stuff like there's a constant thing of like people are always getting each other's names wrong in this movie. There's like the
Callahan, Calloway.
Yeah, and there's like the Winkle. Okay, Winkle. And it's like that small interaction. You're just like, is there... But it happens, you're right, with like the Calloway and Callahan, and you're just like, is there... Like, there's got to be something here with that. But there's also like the exploration of like Anna and Harry's relationship is really interesting. Her constant devotion to him, because I think it's like he saved her because like the stuff with like wartime implications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's a really like interesting exploration, or like the fact that maybe like I don't know, like I'm just kind of like I'm baffled by this because it feels like there's more to this narrative that I'm not gleaming on like a first watch. And just like a weird time when I watched the movie. And I feel like it might change on a rewatch or a couple.
I think for me, as being on a rewatch, the things that I loved became much more amplified. I was like, I loved it the first time I watched it, and then the second time I watched it, I really loved it. I think what I had done myself a disservice for myself when I first watched this film, because I'd seen a lot of the famous shots, like Orson Welles is just, the famous shot of him with the light on his face. Or
I've never seen that.
Yeah, you're lucky. And then there's also that shot. Remember that shot after Holly Martins has shot Harry Lime, and he sort of like, it's like that shot at the end of the tunnel, and you just see him like walk through the mist.
Yep.
That's the cover of the Criterion Collection version.
Ooh.
And I was waiting for that shot for the entire film because I was like, that is so, I love that shot. And I was just in anticipation the whole time. The whole chase sequence, I was like, when is this going to happen? Because I want to see it with my own eyes.
It's coming soon.
Grab
There
it.
it is, bookshelf.
my dreams made reality. So I lost my train of thought. I was just like, I just love the second half of this film. So yeah,
it really is like an exploration of you guys. You good there, Mark? You good? Just went, oh yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I love a movie too much and my brain goes stupid. Yeah.
It goes Black Hat.
Hey,
it goes Black Hat.
There is a very, very solid chance to give Black Hat a better grade than this movie. Just want to throw that out there.
I mean, by solid chance, I mean you definitely did.
100%.
A whole star better.
I think
your Third Man is pretty good and all, but like I liked when how Thor's first line in Black Hat was clearly ADR'd.
No, wasn't
I liked it when Holly Martin said, "Piss off and die, Harry."
Yeah, it's just hey. Okay. I'm flustered now. I lost my train of thought. Black Cat's a better movie than this. Let's not that.
Black Cat might have a better score, more appropriate score. Not a better score, but a more appropriate score.
Yeah, that's right. It does. Again, Black Cat doesn't. What is it called? This movie doesn't have the line "piss off and die, ghost man" on the keyboard.
Is that a line in Black Cat?
Yeah, it is on the key when he's typing in like the little the Chinese restaurant shop, and he's just like he looks at he's like, I'm being watched, and he like goes and he types on the server, and they're like, who is this? And he goes, piss off and die, ghost man. And then he gets mad, he throws the computer, and you're just like, yeah.
How could you forget that, Matt? It was
what
unforgettable.
Awesome movie. What a memorable scene.
I think so. Can we talk about how great the Orson Welles reveal scene is? Because I don't feel like we've like truly touched on just like how perfect that scene is.
We're saving the best for last.
Mark, do you want to contextualize it?
Yeah. So, I mean, if people watching this review have already probably seen the film, or just franchise mutiny.
And
yeah.
He's probably
shout out to franchise mutiny.
Yeah.
But also franchise mutiny. If you have any more roasts for Tyler, feel free to lay him in the comments.
Yeah. Go
he's like really.
He can't lift his bookshelf, and he loves Black Cat for some reason.
Yeah.
Go for the jugular right here.
Yeah. No. I don't get that too close to you.
Oh my god. Do you want me to leave?
We should have like a Tyler roast compilation.
Yeah, we can do that.
Well, it's just
what do you think gets more use, like Black Hat DVDs or Tyler's bookshelf? So I don't think either of them are ever touched.
Wow, that's a hard one.
Wow. That's not true because I recently bought the Black Cat Blu-ray, so it's like 1 to Black Cat and 0 to my bookshelf.
Okay, so the Harry Lime reveal scene. There's no other way to describe it. It's immaculate. I mean, when the camera goes out to the bush or whatever and just reveals the street, nobody's there, and then this man walks out and he stops, and then he sinks back into the shadows like Nosferatu.
Boo!
Another great movie.
Another great movie. Yeah. Yeah, the audio was great in the movie, by the way.
I think this is a favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah,
you have to be understanding because not everyone speaks English perfectly, so they would have to do different scenes. I mean, you have to be a real idiot to get mad about things like that, especially when there's such great.
You're going too hard on Tyler.
So mean. Hey Matt, remember earlier when I was like, you can use my Criterion login and whatever you want. Like, go for it, man. Now I'm getting bullied.
Well, I mean, I don't remind of things, and I just feel like I have to call you out on it. It's not bullying. It's constructive criticism.
I just want to let you know real quick before we continue this. I gave Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit and Nosferatu the Vampire the same grade on Letterboxd. All right, now keep going, Mark.
You're giving us
more material.
Yeah, I don't care. I have no shame in it. Let's keep going. Let's do it. I'll die. I'll die for this.
I think I might recommend Nosferatu the Vampire again next Halloween.
I might.
I would love for you to do that. I'd love to rewatch it.
I won't be there. I'll be watching Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit instead again.
Yeah, no one will miss you.
Yeah, it's all right. All right, Mark. We've just did a tight 5 of roasting me.
Yeah. There's so much tension in film frauds.
Back to formula.
I should have never done Black Cat. Black Cat's the catalyst for the destruction of film frauds.
We gotta do a Black Cat roast compilation.
Yeah, we should. That's a good idea. Okay. The Harry Lime reveal. Let's get to it.
Tyler's having Dr. Jones physics throwbacks. He's going, can't wake up.
Wake me up. I'm thinking about where the placement of my Black Cat video Blu-ray over there is. I'm gonna touch it after this.
Tyler's like, it's okay. They don't understand.
You can't. They would never get us.
Yeah. All right. Now we gotta get back to it. So this is the Harry Lime reveal scene is
Matt's still not over it. I'm sorry. You can look at Matt's face.
It's like the Lord of the Rings, but no one wants it. Like the Black Cat disc is like the Lord of the it's like the ring, but no one wants the Black Cat disc.
They're like, just take it. They're like, no.
Everyone wants it.
Yeah.
He's like, you want it. We're like, no. You're like, don't. No. Yes, you do.
My precious. And I was like, oh. Okay, sorry. Keep going. We've done 8 minutes on insulting me about Black Cat.
That's like the Smog review coming out, Tyler.
Oh, I forgot about that. I gotta put that out. I'll put it out this week.
The fans are dying to see it. God.
All right, listen. So Harry Lime.
The Harry Lime reveal.
The light shines on his face, and it's awesome. Whatever. So back to Black Cat.
The Harry Lime reveal is nothing. It's just pure movie magic. The level of suspense that goes into that scene. You're like, you still haven't seen Orson Welles up until this point, and Joseph Cotten realizes he's like, what are you tailing me for? And then he like steps out. And he's like, "Cat got your tongue," which is funny because there's a cat right next to Harry
on the
Lime.
tongue of his shoe. Yeah, get it.
Because yeah. So that was a funny joke, and and then someone turns on their light and it shines down on Orson Welles, and he's got that shit-eating grin on his face. He's like, "Yeah, I'm alive, motherfucker.
Yep.
What's up?" And then the car comes and he disappears, and it's like so unrealistic. It's like, how could he have gotten away?
Yeah.
But it just sort of fits the theme where it's like
character.
but it's like, descending into the shadows, the underground. It's just like, what is going on here? It adds that, it takes the mystery to the next level. And
I have to respect these movies. There's a certain point where they could have built up the whole Harry Lime is alive, and then all the police and everyone's like, no, he's not, and you build that up, and instead he's like, Harry Lime's alive, and they're like, no, he's not, and then immediately we're like, wait a second, like he disappeared right here, and they open it, it's a staircase, and they're like, oh shit, Harry Lime's probably alive. I like that movie's decision to not build up that mystery and instead have like everyone be on like, Harry Lime's alive, and then they dig up the body. It's like 3 minutes. It's great.
Yeah.
But that's such like a cliche, like the main character is the only one who really knows what's going on. And I guess that's breaking conventional stereotypes, storytelling. Stereotypes. That was actually pretty good, Matt. I guess it's breaking that, but that was just something I was like, oh, I'm glad. I'm not going to win. I'm the ostracized member of Film Frauds now. This is just not fun anymore.
It didn't just happen. Like that's just been that's how it's been.
Matt, what did you love about what else did you love about this movie? What are some of your favorite scenes? Let's go to Hallmark scenes real quick.
Yeah. I like this kind of weird. Like I'm not gonna say the roller coaster scenes. I feel like that's like the scene, but I just like all the the setting shots of establishing shots of like Vienna, especially at night. It's amazing in the shadows. Really, really great. Reminded me of Cold War a lot. Because it's in the Cold War. Wait, is Cold War a sequel to The Third Man?
Oh my god.
Dude. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese, my business email will be in the description.
Yeah. Stanley Kubrick emailed me. Oh, he's dead. But yeah, all those shots were just really great. I love how it was in black and white too. Like you can really appreciate like the use of like moonlight and shadows. Just great. It feels good.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of Nosferatu the Vampire, which is a great movie.
Did you?
That's a great one too.
This movie was, I think it was nominated for Best Picture, if I'm wrong, but it won Best Cinematography.
Black Hat.
Just like.
Oh wait, no, that one worst cinematography ever.
Okay.
I got those two awards confused all the time for some reason.
All right, you're so
Michael
cool.
Mann swept the Razzies.
Yeah.
You guys are so cool.
Like how the Third Man goes underground. Remember the scene where Hacker Man is like running across the rooftops because Michael Mann's like the cloud is up in the sky and they're walking up in the sky like the internet is. 8-year-old Michael Mann.
I'm tuning you guys out now.
It's in the cloud. Michael Mann, the clouds don't actually hold. Do
you want to make another video where it's just roasting Black Hat and it can just be used laughing in a corner for like an hour? Because that's all it seems like you want to do anymore. I'm suing
this review so far is about 70% Third Man, about 30% roasting Black Hat. But let's stay on course here. So Hallmark scenes. One of my favorite scenes. I don't know where I'd place the scenes in like the top 5 or whatever because there's so many great scenes. But one scene that I absolutely loved and we haven't talked about it is the scene where Holly Martins is like sort of shipped off to that writers conference, and he totally butchers it, and then that very suspicious looking guy, I can't remember what his name was. I'm doing a very good job at setting up the scene. He walks in and he's like, "Tell me about your story," and he's like, "Oh, it's a new one called The Third Man," and they had this sort of like cryptic exchange where the bad guy finds out what Holly Martin's plans is. Holly Martin's is pretty stupid in this film for most of it. He gives away so much.
That's kind of the point though of it, because he's very conventional and he falls into like the pulp westerns of his movies. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like when the porter of the hotel, he's like, come to my room tonight. And Holly Martin's in the middle of the street. He's like, you're gonna tell me the secret information tonight in your room.
I feel
Tonight,
like when the kid was
in,
like accusing him of the murder, and he's just like,
and he runs away.
Yeah. While I was being chased.
I'm not guilty.
What do you say in German, Tyler?
I don't know. Just I heard I heard the like we once. Someone said wir, and I was like, that means we. And then I clapped to myself, and I watched my tuition dollars.
I think that's his bookshelf.
Yeah. Mark, keep going for your Hallmark scenes.
I mean, Harry Lime reveal. That's a obligatory. Just about the last 20 minutes is a Hallmark scene. This is not a Hallmark scene, but one thing that I loved about this film that makes it so, just breaks convention, I guess, is the movie starts with the funeral of a character, and it ends with the funeral of that same character. Is that cool?
It's like a cycle.
Because it's like the circle, like in Cold War, because it was like a circle, because they went back.
Right.
Dude, this is the sequel. No, wait, this is the prequel. This is the sequel reboot.
This is the soft reboot.
The soft reboot prequel.
Sequel, yeah, that's it. Or a soft reboot.
Yeah.
Did you guys know a fun fact about this movie that like a lot of the end sequences with Orson Welles in the tunnels was actually filmed in sound stages and sets in London, because Orson Welles was like convinced he was going to get a disease from like walking around in the sewers, and Reed was like, "You're not going to get a disease," and Orson Welles wasn't convinced. So the movie's like 85% shot in Vienna, and then it's 15% shot in like London. And
what a baby.
I know, and Orson Welles was apparently only on set for a week. Everything was shot with him within a week. So he's apparently a big dramatic little baby who didn't want to go into sewers for art. For the art, he didn't want to die in a sewer because he's Orson Welles. I guess I want to throw that out there. Matt looks.
Thank you for telling us.
You're welcome. Matt looks even more disappointed in me. So yeah, you guys just didn't even respond to that at all. Perfect.
Wasn't there a sewer scene in Black Hat?
There was. They have a bunch of people get shot in the sewers. Okay, so I'd say like my Hallmark moments of this movie. Is it like, can I just do like one shot? It's the shot through the bush.
I just said no.
Like it's very clearly like they pan into a bush and then they have branches and then they like move the branches out of the way when they're panning the camera in. But it's really creative and really cool. You guys just are so jerk. You guys are just jerks. You guys are so mean.
Yeah, we're being jerks, man. We gotta tone it back.
You guys are so mean to me. I'm gonna cry.
I think Black Hat it's the before and the after Black Hat.
Ever since Jeffrey and Franchise Mutiny started to gang up on Tyler as well.
You knew you were in the right.
He just signaled to me that it's okay.
They go, he'll be fine. I guess that entire shot, the reveal of Orson Welles, is pretty great. Yeah, I feel like I have to end this before it just becomes a roast about Black Hat. Do you guys have any other favorite moments? Anything you didn't like about the movie?
Well, Mark. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
It's okay, Matthew. I forgive you.
Okay.
You're such a great friend.
You're a great friend too, Mark. Let's talk about Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, let's talk about Leonardo da Vinci and F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway and all those people.
Werner Herzog.
Werner Herzog. It's not Werner, it's Werner. Yeah, so the final shot where she's walking and then she walks right past Holly, and then he just pulls out a cigarette. He's like, well, that's it.
That was great.
Yeah.
That original, they wanted a more happy ending. Apparently this is a book. This is like based off of a book.
Do you have the book?
No.
He definitely has it. He definitely has it.
It's in like.
There's no confidence in that. No. He's like, I probably do.
Probably somewhere. I've come very close to buying the same book before, because I just own it, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy that one, and I'm like, I think I own that. The original kind of like studio wanted a happy ending. What do you want with me? What do you want me to be? I can't be a perfect person, Matt. I can't be the cooler version of you. Crap. I forgot my train of thought. They wanted like a happier ending. They didn't necessarily want like Holly.
Joseph.
And they didn't want Anna to walk by. I don't think they did. I think that's what I was reading. But I kind of love that, how it's just kind of like she walks by and then it cuts to credits and you're just like, oh, this is great. You're like, is that really, that's like the final nail in the coffin for like the actual like establishment of the relationship between Matt's so checked out of this review. He just wants to roast me about Black Hat. But that's kind of like the final nail in the coffin and the like final establishing point you need to like further develop the relationship between Anna and Harry. That there's like this deep connection to the point where she'll shun anyone who was like involved in his death and his like capture, even though he was like a horrible human being. And regardless of that, I think Roger Ebert says like Harry's a rat in his review, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Harry's actually a human being, but okay.
It's Ratatouille, third man, but it's Ratatouille.
Oh,
yeah. So wait, I want to find that exact kind of quote. But it
Ratatouille
was
ripped off the third man.
Exactly.
Question mark.
But I like
Oswald is Orson Welles.
Wow.
But I do like how this movie is establishing stuff right into the very end, and I do think that's a very like interesting.
Do you like that? How much do you like it?
I'm never gonna post this review. I'm gonna leave it. We're just not gonna. We're done. That's it. I'm just gonna post my own third man review, and it's just me laughing at myself 3 different ways.
Well, at least I'm gonna laugh at you.
You're laughing.
Right for the jugular.
Oh my god. Crap! You're making me lose
Thanks
my
for
train of
letting
thought.
me use your criterion.
I'm gonna use it tonight, by the way. Just letting you know.
Okay.
I'm gonna get back on. My password's gonna be changed. He's the guy back at it now. Yeah, I do like how this movie's establishing stuff to the end. All right, fine. We're just going up. Mark, sleepy time moments. We're done. We're just moving forward. Mark, sleepy time moments. That's basically moments. Mark watched The Master like a few times ago or something like that. Or the first time ever.
What?
Shut up. You're so stupid.
It doesn't make any sense.
You're so stupid.
What does a few times ago mean?
Mark watched The Master a little bit ago for the first time and fell asleep during it and woke up, clapped, gave it 4 stars. He has since watched it and stayed awake the entire time, or at least I think he did. And now we call it Mark's sleepy time moments for moments that we kind of just didn't necessarily like. And then we'll get to our Black Hat moments, which is moments that we abhorred completely. And does anyone have any sleepy time moments?
Just like the Harry Lime surveying, like the scene on the street before he goes to the restaurant. Just the music, really. Like I feel like I really should have like been so tense in that scene, but the music took me out of it. That's really the only scene that was like really made me check out. But I was back into it as soon as I went back into the sewer chase.
Mark, do you have any sleepy time moments?
The first, I'd say between the 20-minute mark and like the 50-minute mark, just that like half hour. The first part is pretty interesting as things are getting set up, but the interest in Joseph Cotton or Holly Martin's wanes as time goes by until Orson Welles shows up.
Yeah. My thing is just really like the music is. It's just there's a few times it stands out where it's like very intense. It's a
how's it go?
I'm done. Do you guys have any Black Hat moments?
No, I do it again and
no,
hear it.
shut up. Do you have any
Black
Hat
moments? moments?
No, I don't have any Black Hat moments.
I don't really have it. Nothing like I abhorrently hated. All right, grades. I can fucking end this train wreck of a review. Does we go on an A, B, C, and D, F scale or plus or minuses? Because I need some control over my life because clearly it's not going well in any other capacity.
Hey, just roasting yourself.
Yeah, I gotta go along with it now. I have to beat you guys before you get to the punch. Yeah, I kind of tanked my like validation of B's and A's now, so whatever. Who cares? Mark, what do you give the third man? 1949.
Oh man!
Does that mean Nosferatu the Vampire and Cold War retroactively make the Hall of Fame?
No, they don't. Shut up. I gave him.
We should hold a Tyler intervention over Zoom and record it, and in it we have Tyler repent for his sins of giving Black Hat anything greater than an F. And
we should go through we have a whole video of like Tyler's bookshelf video where he says every book that he has and has to admit that he hasn't read it. Admit he hasn't read it. He goes, "I bought this. It was $25. I haven't read it."
What's it about? Based on the cover, I think it's
Dragons.
about like someone's going on an adventure somewhere.
It's about red text.
All right, Mark, what do you give third man?
Although I do think some parts are slower than others, I'll have to give this an A because the things I love so dearly. So it's an A for me, a solid A.
Solid A. Matt, what do you give a third man?
It's like a solid B but I'm willing to maybe give it an A on I think it could be an A on a rewatch if I like understand the plot a little bit better.
I'm in the same exact boat as Matt. It's a B for me, but I could honestly see myself watching this again in a few months and going, yeah, this is an incredible movie. So this could be like a legitimate tentative put back in the Hall of Fame if we ever decide to rewatch it and stuff like that.
Yes.
So this is like the third man with an asterisk.
I think the audio works.
Shut up. You're so stupid. Considering this is the third man, considering with an asterisk that half this review is you guys shitting on me and half of this review is third man discourse. Okay. Now we're going into our what we've been watching section. We're talking about what we've been watching, playing, reading, everything in between for the last week. Every single time I do this, I get you guys go first because I am nice. But then we get to me, and then you guys basically ignore me. So I'm gonna go first.
All right, Mark, let's go. Take a lunch break.
So this is gonna be a rough one. The first movie I watched was White House Down. And it's
oh, we're dying to hear.
Wow, can't wait to hear your review for White House Down.
It came out the same year as Olympus Has Fallen, except this one takes itself. It's far more fun and engaging. And it's like Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx. Channing Tatum's like a relatable action hero, and I'm full on the Channing. Yes, I'm full on the Channing Tatum train where he's
on a scale from Black Hat to Die Hard. How relatable is he?
Nosferatu the vampire.
Okay.
Yeah, just letting you know. But he's like legitimately like a charismatic action star. Like I think if he got like a better director besides Roland Emmerich, he could just be like a really great movie. I'm a massive sucker for really generic and cheesy action movies. It's probably my Achilles heel.
Can you tell me why? I don't understand.
I don't know, man. Like I like being able to just like laugh for like an hour and a half and go, that was kind of fun, and then I just like fart and then go to sleep. So yeah, White House Down. It's a legitimately fun movie. Like there are parts I was like kind of like cracking up. Then I watched 2 of the Pirates movies, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest. Mark, this is like your baby here.
I love these movies.
They're like legitimately really good. I honestly kind of like the second one better than the first one. Because my issue with the first one is it basically feels like sound stages. Like there's not really an exploration of the world at all. And despite like being this vast movie, it just feels very like narrow in what's actually presented. But I mean, fucking Jack Sparrow and Jeffrey Rush are just incredible. Like they're just, or Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush are just like made to be pirates. Jeffrey Rush especially is just so much fun. And yeah, Orlando Bloom's kind of hot. And then Davy Jones is even cooler in the second movie. He's not a better character, but he's just like a cooler design kind of thing. So this is actually what I want to talk to you guys about. Matt, you're a really, really big fan. Probably one of your favorite movies of all time is Silence of the Lambs by Jonathan Demme. Have you guys ever seen Philadelphia, his other movie?
No, I know of it.
You know of it? It's honestly like really incredible. I was really blown away by how much I love this movie. And Jonathan Demme is like a very unique director where he focuses a lot. He has like a lot of close-ups and he like loves to tell like story and kind of like relationships just through close-ups of the person's face. So while we don't often get direct characterizations, just by that like the breakdown of how their face is like constructed is like a character in and of itself. And Demme like ramps that up in this movie. This honestly might be a better directed movie than Silence of the Lambs, even though Silence of the Lambs is a better movie, because Demme really uses like in The Third Man, like kind of like Dutch angles and kind of like weird camera movements to tell a story and work in tandem with the characters. Denzel Washington's great. Tom Hanks is incredible in this movie. I think it's kind of already well known. It's definitely up there. Like this real movie just really cements Demme as one of the best directors of the 90s. And I think there's like legitimate merit. I was reading a couple reviews on this on Letterboxd, and there was a little bit of criticism for this being the like a gay movie for straight people, because Denzel Washington is this character who is homophobic at the beginning and has this character arc, and it's like and people were criticizing because it's a clear like he's homophobic at the beginning and he's not at the end, and he's really not. Like the movie kind of explores the ideas of how these like built-in stereotypes and biases against people take a long time to eradicate, and they're just kind of there. And I didn't see Denzel Washington's journey as being completed by the end, but rather he's making a step forward in progress. But he still holds many of those like that hatred and that animosity to people who are homosexual, and it's very apparent by the way he reacts when people are like, "Aren't you gay?" Because he's defending a gay man with AIDS in this movie. It's basically a perfect combination. I love well done character studies and I love courtroom dramas. So combine that with like incredible directing. It's one of the better movies I've seen from the 90s. I really recommend that you guys watch it. Especially you, Matt, since you're a massive, massive Silence of the Lambs fan. Final two ones. I wanted to get more into Steven Soderbergh. And
Still 2 movies?
So I watched 6. Steven Soderbergh directed Haywire, like an action movie from 2011. I wanted to get more into Steven Soderbergh. And this movie is...
You have The Nick. You could just watch The Nick.
I tried The Nick. I wasn't a big fan. I don't like that super gory stuff. So basically...
It's like hospital stuff.
I just want to throw this out there. This movie has actual like uses of jujitsu and fighting, and I think that's really badass. But it's like the least Hollywoodized spy movie ever. Like everything just feels very realistic, and I really have to respect it for that. The fight scenes are really great. It just feels like very like it treats its audience with respect, and it's intelligent. It's just a well done, like crafted spy movie. It's short, but that also plays into like the lack of character development, and the movie looks a little sometimes, and it just feels very off. At times, it feels very just bleh at a couple times, and the performances aren't the best in the movie. But in terms of like, if you're looking for a 90-minute solid like action thriller, can't really beat it. And then finally, I watched Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. Chris Pine's so fucking hot. He's so cool. Do you like this movie?
Yeah.
It's like Chris Pine is giving way too good of a performance for this movie. He's like legitimately trying, and Kenneth Branagh is a horrendous director. Like he can't direct to save his life. He's a really good actor. He definitely has that gravitas, but like Chris Pine deserves so much better. He's just giving it his all, and he's like very emotional. He's doing what he has to do, and he's probably got massive back pain from carrying this movie on his back. But it's fun. It's like the king of generic 2010 action movies. Whew, that was all of them. I watched 6 this week, so that was a lot. I'm also playing Ghost of Tsushima, and it's really fun. So,
I'll go next because I have one thing. I finished Ernest Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises. It's really short. It's only 254 pages, or the edition that I had. Really good. I like how you guys use Letterboxd for movies. I use Goodreads for book reviews, and there's a lot of people who love this book. I really like this book. I would say I love it, but I really like it. It's defined as like the book of the lost generation.
What's your Goodreads account?
I don't review anything. I use it to keep track of what I've read.
Okay, interesting.
He's gonna find me. I don't have any reviews, Tyler. There's nothing for you to read.
I miss Mark's Reddit account.
Yeah.
He just recommends the same 5 movies to every single thread.
Ingmar Bergman.
Hey! I recommended The Third Man over and over again. So
I know.
At least I was right about one thing.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I was saying it was funny.
Yeah, it was funny because I had a lot of karma built up, and then I deleted my account. Anyway, there's a lot of people who really, really hate The Sun Also Rises. It's dated in its aspect of there's a lot of, there's the attitudes of the characters have some very questionable views. I mean, there's a lot of anti-Semitism.
Is Ernest Hemingway like actual anti-Semitist, or is it just like him making characters that are?
I don't know if Ernest Hemingway was an anti-Semite, but there in The Sun Also Rises there is a Jewish character, and a lot of the other characters in the book sort of laud him for being Jewish or something like that. It's I don't know if I just described it well enough, but a lot of people take issue with that for good reason. But there's like just a lot of people they just like vehemently hate this book. But then there's again a lot of people who are just like totally on board with it. So it's a really good read. It's just totally justified as to why Ernest Hemingway won the Nobel Prize, because his way of writing is just so completely utterly unique. There's like no adjectives. It's just straight up. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. Here's what happened. This character says this. This character says that. And I think I said this like the last when we did the Sympathy for Lady Vengeance review, but like you wouldn't think this would work on paper, because it's like and this happened and then, but he makes it work. It's interesting, and so Matt, I think you would definitely appreciate. There's a lot for you to learn from Hemingway.
Wait, what was the other one you recommended? It was The Sun Also Rises and
A Movable Feast.
Yeah, which one do you like better?
I haven't read A Movable Feast yet, but I've read a lot about. I mean, I've heard a lot of. There's a lot of book reviewers that I watch, and a lot of them, when they talk about Hemingway, they always talk about A Movable Feast because it's not a fictional novel. It's nonfiction. It's just him in the 20s in Paris with James Joyce and F. Scott Fitzgerald, lounging around in cafes, writing, and how he writes, and what his process was, and what his how many pages he wrote a day or whatever. So I think there's a lot to learn about the craft from Hemingway, and I think I'm reading and I'm reading War and Peace right now. But once I finish War and Peace, which will take me a long time to finish, I'll probably get back to like A Farewell to Arms and get back into Hemingway.
Yeah.
And I'll talk a little bit longer just because I just want to talk about the subject of the books I'm reading now. So I'm reading 2 books. I'm reading War and Peace, as I just said, and I'm reading Barack Obama's book. I'm 100 pages into both books. Tal, I think you said you were thinking about getting Obama's book.
Yeah, because I skimmed like the first 10 pages when I was at the paper store, and I saw they were charging $45 for it, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. But I was very curious about it.
Yeah, it's interesting so far. I mean, I'm in the chapters right now where he's talking about like when he won the Iowa caucus and like him being on the campaign trail. It's really interesting. You get like a good inside look of like sort of like the structure of like the Democratic Party at the time, and like who was supporting who. It's very interesting because at the time Obama was an outsider, so you get that outsider perspective to what the process was like. So it's interesting. And then War and Peace, I'm 100 pages in. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I read this quote that said, "If the Earth could write, it would write like Leo Tolstoy," and I completely understand what that means now.
Damn.
Just the way that Tolstoy sets up his characters and how he sort of it's a third person narration. I'm sorry. I get starstruck very easily, and this book is
like is that your first because Russian literature is like a huge blind spot for me? Is that like your first book?
So I guess you could say so. I think like 19th century Russian literature, because I read 100 pages of Crime and Punishment, and it was the most depressing thing I've ever read in my life. And I was like, at the time, I was like, I can't get into this now. It's 500 pages of sort of misery. I mean, that's sort of what Dostoevsky's thing was, like characters' redemption through complete and utter misery.
Jesus.
I tried reading the Brothers Karamazov. I got 150 pages into it, and I was like, I am nowhere near the mental capacity to understand this. The one Russian book that I read it actually a few weeks ago, and I talked about it, is Master Margarita, but that was 20th century Stalinist Russia, so I wouldn't really count it. So War and Peace is sort of like my first time dabbling in Russian literature, and it's not like Dostoevsky where it's like, super depressing and everything. It's like,
not yet.
It's just it's the book is about Napoleon's invasion of Russia, but the perspective of the book is from like the Russian aristocracy, and so there's some like not despicable characters, but characters that you wouldn't deem likable, but Tolstoy doesn't condemn them, because I think he came from a place of wealth. I think his father was very well off, so he knew these people, but he wasn't of them, and it sort of shows in his writing. And that's what I've read so much about Anna Karenina about, because I think Anna Karenina, when he set out to write the book, he told his wife, I want to write a book about a woman's fall from high society without condemning her. That was his goal. And that's why, like, I think William Faulkner, when he was asked, what's the best book ever written? And he said, Anna Karenina. He said, Anna Karenina, Anna Karenina, Anna Karenina. That's what he said. So I'm sort of fascinated with Leo Tolstoy, because
I want to read Leo Tolstoy now. I saw his books at Barnes & Noble, and I almost bought it, but they're just like so big that I just didn't go for it, because I have a pretty big reading list right now. But definitely at some point, once like my list clears up, I'm probably gonna go to Tolstoy and Hemingway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for you to get there, because I'd love to talk about it more.
I was talking to Tyler earlier, so he's feeling brave enough to start Dr. Seuss pretty soon.
Yeah,
feeling like he's on that level.
I'm a little stressed out about it, but I think, guys, if you give me your mental support, I can get Green Egg and Ham down in like a month. All right, Matt, what did you do this week?
I watched Macbeth 2015 with Michael Fassbender.
I got 15 minutes in that movie and turned it off because I didn't want to deal with Shakespearean language for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit above you.
God damn.
But
Tyler, you got a black eye today.
I know, my God. Oh, Matt's talking to someone.
Okay. Sorry,
guys. We're not in the studio. We're not in the Film Front studio.
Yeah, we're clearly stuck in a pandemic at home.
Yeah.
Matt.
Yeah. So I watched Macbeth. It's has an interesting beginning and end, but it's just basically Macbeth. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
I wanted like it was like really like weird. It was kind of like it reminded me of Valhalla Rising, like a Nicholas Winding Refn movie at the start and at the end. Like where like I don't think Valhalla Rising is a particularly good movie, but like with that weird kind of like mentally like detached style where everyone feels like they're on like drugs.
Yeah.
Stuff. It was pretty cool like that, but
the
then just becomes really generic. Towards
movie
the end,
great.
like in the middle, but that's it really. I also watched Possessor, 2020 film.
Oh damn! How was that?
It was interesting because like Red Letter Media reviewed it recently. I don't know if we watched the review or not, but they did it. It's directed by what's his name? David Cronenberg's son,
Brandon Cronenberg.
And it's basically like it's like this assassin agency where they kidnap people that are related to that are related to like the assassin to the target, and they like mind meld with them, so they assume their body, and then they assassinate like their target. So like in this movie, it's basically like they want to assassinate this daughter of this really rich guy who's like the Jeff Bezos of England or whatever, and the person wants him assassinated is the brother because he wants like the whole company to himself. And so they mind meld with the boyfriend of the daughter who's this drug dealer, and it has really interesting themes, but in the end it just ends with like everyone in a room shooting each other, so it's very disappointing in that regard. But like it gets really surreal. Like I don't have epilepsy, but there's like a scene where like there's like this flashing lights where the process of mind melding is very like metaphorical and done very abstractly. And like there's like one point there's this crazy flashing light where I literally couldn't look at the screen because it was just so glaring. Ugh. But the way like they do the melding is really neat. It's very inspired visually, but I think the script kind of lacks a lot of depth.
Is it?
But violent? I would recommend, if it sounds interesting to you, I'd recommend it because it's like $7 to rent on Amazon Prime right now, so it's pretty reasonable, and it's pretty short too. So if you're not feeling it, it's not that long. But I'm glad I had an experience because it's definitely unique, and definitely a lot of unique visuals and practical effects they use.
Yeah. But
overall, I just wanted more.
Is it? I heard a lot about like how violent the movie is.
I watched the regular, like there's an unrated version and there's like a regular version. I watched the regular version, and like it's violent, but I mean, like it's nothing terrible.
Yeah.
But I heard like the unrated version is like really bad.
Okay. Interesting.
And I just like didn't really like because like a Jay from Other Media was saying like he watched both versions, and he's someone who loves gore in movies, but he said he'd actually recommend the regular version over the unrated version because it's just too much to deal with.
Interesting. Okay. Good.
And Sean Bean's in it, and he's really good.
Oh, cool.
So there's that. And then I watched Il Deserto Rosso, or as it's called in English, Red Desert by Michelangelo Antonioni. My fourth movie by him. And I think it's his first movie in color that he did. And this movie's kind of incredible. I like really, really love it. I think this is like the highest I've been on an Antonioni movie, like on my first like viewing. Like with La Notte, I really liked it when I first saw it, but over time I've gone to really love it. This movie, I finished it. It's like this movie's kind of incredible. There's Monica Vitti in it, and it's just about like the takeover of like factories and machines in Italy, and it's really, really great. I'm glad I went from L'Avventura to La Notte to Le Eclisse to Red Desert, and I'm glad I did it that way because setting wise, like Antonioni is subtly making his backgrounds more post-apocalyptic as the movies go along. And it's really fascinating because it's not really like it's not post-apocalyptic really, but it's like the loss of like nature and backgrounds, and it's really great in that regard. And I'd like really recommend it. Not as your first Antonioni movie. I think L'Avventura is probably the best place to start with that, but I think that the 4 movies like really go well as a progression. Like they're all different stories, but they all like have very similar themes, and I think of like loss of humanity. But this one definitely tackles like the takeover of machinery, and like it gets like really science fiction-y towards the end of it. And it's really great, and I highly recommend it.
That's interesting.
Who directed Caligula?
Oh, it's not Antonioni. Why?
Oh, okay. I thought it was for some reason.
No, it's like a porn
Tony
director.
made like a snuff movie. Yeah, I love how this just represents now. What we've been watching section has fully divulged into each of our own individual tastes. Mark is reading like Hemingway and like these like classic Russian novels. Matt is exploring like old Italian movies, and I'm here watching White House Down.
Well, I'm not done, Tyler. I have one thing that links Mark and I together.
Uh-oh.
And it's also Italian.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna leave now.
One of the best books I read this year.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm well over halfway through. The book is big, but it's like deceptively an easy read.
Yeah,
it kind of flies by. I think this book is really good. I don't think I'm as high on it as Mark is, but my main problems are with like when the author starts talking about the paintings himself. It's like I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like it's like I can see the painting. You don't need to describe it to me.
Yeah.
But like he clearly goes so deep into like the history of Da Vinci, and I love like when he quotes things from Da Vinci's notebook, and he's really able to track the mental progress of like this brilliant creator. How he's just like he's like, you know, I'm done with painting. I'm gonna go into like military architecture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just he really captures like how easy creativity came to this man, and how like well and like the scope of his creativity, how he's able to see like running water and compare it to like the braid of a girl's hair in one of his paintings. And it's like he just perfectly merges science with his own fantasy. And it's like I never really appreciated it until I got to this book. And I think the author, for some of his flaws with him going on about his own like interpretation of paintings, like I think that he clearly put so much time into focusing on the psychology of Leonardo da Vinci and how it shows in his creativity, and I think that is pretty brilliant.
One of my favorite things that I learned from that book was that Leonardo would sit down in his studio and like he'd be working on a painting and he'd sit there and he'd stare at it for an hour and then he'd make one thing and then he'd leave for the day.
That's what he did with the Last Supper painting. Like they wanted to originally do it on a wet canvas or something, but he just took so long to do it they couldn't make it that way. But yeah, he would just spend all day and then he'd do like one random stroke and he'd be like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, and it's like it's crazy. It's really great because like he's always getting distracted too with different works and stuff. Like always doodling in his notebook. It's like it's they really make you feel like you're with Da Vinci, and it's like I as a lover of history, I was like completely enamored by the idea that Machiavelli, Caesar Borgia, and Leonardo da Vinci were all in the same place at the same time. And I would just love to see. I just love to be a fly on the wall. I mean, granted, they were probably just getting drunk a lot, but it'd be great to just see like the conversations they had. It'd be I can't imagine.
Yeah. Could not agree more. I actually there's another copy in my room right now because I'm giving it to my brother for Christmas.
Nice.
Matt, have you played any more Cyberpunk?
No, because I want to wait until it's like there's a better version of it.
Okay, that makes sense. Tyler's totally given up.
Yeah. Tyler's lost his individuality. So like I'm fine playing Ghost of Tsushima because that's a really great game. But for the time being, it's like I don't want to play like a busted version of the game that I could potentially love. Because like when I've heard like the side quests and the writing is really great, it's like comparable to The Witcher 3. So it's like I'm fine just waiting for now in order to play a better version of the game in like a month or so.
Like you have a copy of it. You physically own the game.
Yeah.
So it's there. Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima is so much fun. Such black.
Yeah, I gotta try that out. I've been playing a lot of Black Ops 4.
Oh, nerd.
I just like I got back into it because I needed to turn my brain off after studying for so long. And man, there's a lot of shit talkers in Black Ops 4.
Yeah, we were one of them in Modern Warfare 3. Think about how much lobby. Think about how many.
Mark was like, "Hey noob,
hey you suck."
It's like that. I'm getting destroyed by like some 13-year-old, and it's like, and then he starts shit talking me after the game's over.
Think about this.
Man, I should stop playing this game. I'm too old for this.
Think about this. When we were doing that in Modern Warfare 3, we would play at night when adults would come home from work. We'd wreck them and be like, "Hey, you loser! You're not spending all your time playing this." And like, I just got off like an 8-hour shift, man. Like, what do you want? And we're like, "You're a loser." We just.
There's a time where Tyler was shit talking this older gentleman, and then he says, "You know what? I got $100,000 in the bank. I'm gonna get a plane ticket, fly to your house. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you."
And I was like, "Do it."
Tyler's like, "Do it, pussy."
You don't know where I live. Like, you'll find me.
That was like 13 or 14. It was just, that's Xbox 360 classic.
God damn, that was what was that like? Can you believe that was like 9 years ago now?
I can't.
Think about how much.
I don't want to think about
There's
how
a point,
time has
Mark.
passed.
You put 72 days on Modern Warfare 3. Think about how.
And I would have done more.
You would have done more if your account wasn't banned because you were
I boosted.
farming. You were boosted for XP.
Yep, with Alex.
What do you need a boost for if you play for 72 hours?
I wanted a specific title card or whatever. It was just something cosmetic. So yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I did that. I definitely did not waste my freshman year of high school.
Mark and I would legitimately play until 3 a.m. We'd start angry, go to bed angry, wake up angry, and rinse and repeat.
Covered in Cheetos.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't get my third Moab of the night in 3 games in a row, and then we just get mad, and we get mad at each other, and then we really want to do it again tomorrow. Yeah, sure. And then we'd go off, and then it was great.
And we were so competitive about the Moabs. Like, I remember, Tom, never got on bootleg. You got the Moab, and you called it immediately, and I was so mad. I was like, I can't see anything now.
And he left it, turned it off. I was like, yeah.
If they remaster that game, film thoughts is over. Tom and I are playing.
We lost it. We're never watching another movie again.
Would you guys ever do homework?
No.
Matt would play with us, and he'd do terrible, and we'd make fun of you. Like, you're going for the flag. You're a loser.
It'd always be like number one though, because I was the only one who would play the objective.
Yeah, I have like 100 kills at the bottom of the leaderboard.
Ben would get legitimately mad at me whenever I go for the objective. He's like, "Whoa, look at the truth went for the objective. That's why I was at the top of the list." Mark and I used to just play with Ben just to troll him, because Ben would be like, "Who uses Spetsnaz? Who uses Spetsnaz shotgun with Scavenger Pro? Who plays this game?"
It was always very specific.
Yeah. He'd like look at like specifically their class and then yell it out loud and then yell who plays this game. It's like, you play this game. I was there for the Overwatch stuff. I wasn't really a big Call of Duty guy. I just remember Mark getting disturbed by this Genji in Overwatch. And it was like
oh my god!
He was Roadhog, and I was literally just healing him as Mercy, and the Genji was just decimating him.
I was like, don't worry, Matt. I'm gonna get this guy. I fit him in the corner, and I was gonna use my ult where like you spray everything.
Yeah.
So I start spraying everything, and the Genji deflects it, and it kills both me and Matt. Yeah, we should play that again. We should we should download it.
I have it downloaded. We can play it.
I'm too scared to go back to these games. Honestly, like I can feel myself being easily addicted again.
We still Battlefront 2 to play. Like I still Madden.
Oh yeah, Tyler, don't you still have Black Ops 4?
No, God no.
Oh, okay.
I have class now. But to be fair, the most euphoric and addicting feeling in your life is getting Specialist in Modern Warfare 3, and you can feel like your character get lighter, and you just feel strong.
Yeah, you're a super soldier.
You're just a super soldier, and then you die, and you get mad, and you throw. I threw a controller at a wall once. I was like, stupid, and it broke. I was like, I have to put the controller now.
Did you put a hole in the wall?
No, it left a little mark. Because I wasn't strong, so it went and hit the wall. I was like, oh.
It bounced back at him in the head.
I was like, oh shit.
Tyler actually he was like frustrated. He was just moving his arms, but he had so much barbecue chip dust on his fingers that there's no traction.
It just slips, yeah. I would eat an entire bag of Funyuns in like a 6-hour play session, and then I go to bed and I forget to brush my teeth, and I wake up and be like, "Where's my breath smell?" All right, good times. This has been a lovely talk about the past.
Like how do we transition from Leonardo da Vinci to Call of Duty?
Because Mark said I've been playing Black Ops 4, and then we just have a history of it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Wait. Matt, what's our call to action? What are we doing next week?
Comment why Black Cat's a bad movie. If you have any roast for Tyler, please leave them in the comments below. They're hilarious.
I haven't read any of these.
Tyler, you want to attempt to benchmark
Nope.
bench
I
that? No,
did
you don't
chest.
want to do
I
that?
did
You
chest
sure?
yesterday. I didn't have a spotter yesterday, and I was trying for 245, and I got one, and then I got to the other, and it got stuck, and there was no one around, and I had to
roll it off.
I didn't roll off because there was the bench I had 1 and 2. But there was that moment where you get it to that point, where you're like, I got this, and then you just stop, and you're just like, I don't got this, and there's no one around. I'm like, oh, well, I died, and I was like, that's it. I just want to let you guys know, if you're ever working out with me in the future and I fail a bench and it kills me, put like an extra plate on so people will think over my dead body that I'm a lot stronger than I really am.
It'll be like an extra 100 just like sticking out, like out of order.
It's like he's just a weird bencher.
He wanted it that way.
Yeah. I just start stacking like kettlebells on you.
Yeah.
He's like, he just wanted the extra challenge.
I'll replace it with a 2-pound weight. It'll just be on your throat and be like, that's what killed you.
This is not strong at all. Yeah, Matt, what are we doing? What are we watching next week? What's going on?
Well, it's Mark's recommendation. No, Wonder Woman next week too.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
It's
I'm not watching the first one. I'm not watching the first one. I'm not doing
it.
Have you seen it?
I think you guys, me, and James
we saw because Tyler started
people.
Chance.
Are we the only people who don't like that movie?
I think everybody else likes it. I don't like that movie. I just don't.
I'm gonna rewatch it this week.
Because I'll never forget when I went to go watch it because like there was so much hype around it. They're like, DC made a good movie. And
then, it was bad. It was just like all the other DC movies.
You guys told me you're like, this movie, Wonder Woman's like bad, and I was like, yeah, okay. Then I watched it, and it was like literally it was like halfway through, and I looked at James, and I was like, should we just leave?
Like, is this it?
We were laughing during the movie.
Yeah,
and then, the lady got mad at us.
Yeah, it was just like what's it?
Sorry, we're taking this movie about like CGI demons seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like, there's that point where she's like, Gal Gadot is a very nice person, but not a good actress. And when she's like mourning over Chris Pine dying, spoilers.
Kal-El, no.
Kal-El, no. And then Matt and I angered a lot of people. Matt and I just have a reputation for pissing people off. Oh, I have a reputation for pissing people off in movie theaters.
The movie was so stupid. Like it was just more DC trash, and like under the veil that it was like this like groundbreaking movie, and it was like it was the CGI monsters fighting Wonder Woman, and Chris Pine is like phenomenal, and he does way better than he has any right to be doing in this movie.
There's that one scene where she's like, are all human men like this? And he's like, I'm above average. And you're just like, there's so much charisma in that like one line. You deserve so much better. And I wanted them to hand down.
I like how that movie like sets up like I like how there was the fact that the movie's setting up like a theme that there's no bad gods here. It's actually humans who are doing this horrible stuff, and then it's like, oh, never mind. It's actually just Ares, and he's here. Yeah. He's here to mess things up.
Like, there's an interesting theme of like humanity being evil, and
yeah.
Remember when Remember when it's that really old guy, and he's just like he turns into. I don't want to watch Wonder Woman 1984. It has
Pedro Pascal in it.
But the thing is that
and it has Kristen Wiig, and Kristen Wiig is. I like Kristen Wiig a lot.
But the thing is, we were okay with watching it, and then we went to runtime, and it's 2.5 hours long. Yeah.
She's one of my favorite SNL actresses ever. Or actors in general.
You're stupid. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Comment your favorite film fraud as long as it's Black Hat. I'm now making Black Hat the official fourth member of Film Fraud.
That Carl Urban was the official fourth member of Film Frauds.
No, we have our.
I am the law.
No, our official fourth member of Film Frauds is the husband from Train to Busan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, husband.
That's right.
That's right. Husband movie award. Have we had a better husband yet in a movie?
Nope.
Well, we might see that with Chris Pine in 1984. Who knows?
We should have like a Film Frauds end of the year review of our channel.
I was thinking that like a year retrospective of like how COVID and how this channel has like changed your viewing of movies, or like what you would have done, like being stuck inside, like what happened differently.
Let's do it. End of the year. Well,
Tyler's I watched one good movie
instead of.
No.
It wasn't a generic action movie.
He was forced to watch good movies by us.
Yeah. Matt, I remember the first time we did. This will be the final.
When I recommend The Handmaiden for the first episode. The look of pure like misery that was on his face.
I was like,
he was like, "I want to watch Harley Quinn the Impossible Adventure, whatever.
Think about the last two recommendations. It was Black Hat, and then it was Cold War and The Third Man.
Hey, what's wrong with that? No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Then before he was like Dunkirk, and then
what were my last recommendations? What are my
Black
recommendations?
Hat. No, Black Hat, Dunkirk. Oh my god.
They're so unforgettable that I can't even remember. What were they? When was the last time I recommended something?
It was I don't remember.
You're after Mark. Mark's doing a director series, and you're.
But I can't remember the
Yeah,
last movie.
and I'm doing you a big favor because I'm recommending one of Tyler's favorite movies ever.
I recommended Burning. Yeah, Burning
Oh,
was
yeah,
a good
wait,
movie. Yeah, you're welcome, idiots.
I've already seen it. I was only told you to see it.
Matt,
Oh wait,
change your opinion on Burning.
I think
I hate it. It's the worst movie ever.
I think my recommendation last one was Aquaman. We've done a super, but Aquaman was really fun. Aquaman was a blast. I contemplated rewatching Aquaman a few days ago. All right, thank you guys for watching. This has been Phil Frauds. We're the best. I'm so tired. All right, thank you guys for watching, and I got the final.